Hello there, Seraphim17 once again. This is my Ys VIII, Lacrimosa of Dana, Inferno walkthrough. This is footage of me running back to the crystal to cure the blindness. Now I've took that ring off that's really amazing but really obnoxious. And then in this video we will be getting the Sage Ring, and it will be featuring a day in the life of a wandering maiden. So this is one of my favourite parts of the game. This is the moment where Dana actually comes to our timeline, and there's a really surprisingly touching scene. I didn't realise just how much I was getting into the characters and the story in this game until that moment, when I realised this game's kind of getting me, and I don't usually get got by JRPGs these days because I just find them to be trite and boring, but this one definitely started to resonate, which is a great feeling because it reminds me of being a kid and playing Final Fantasies. So now we have Dana from the past in the future, and you can chuck her in your team. Not only is she going to be able to learn a whole host of moves that she can't seemingly learn in the past, but she's going to be an additional slash member. So if you come up against enemies that are weak to slashing, you will now be able to get a bonus by putting her in your team. And there's a firework. I don't know fucking why. 8 days after New Year, Jesus. I hope somebody gets third-degree burns and you learn your lesson. But additionally, Dana's just a fun character to play as. She looks cool, she's got good movement because she's fast, she's got a really powerful weapon at this point. She's just a cool addition to the team. She's much stronger than we are at this moment. She's about level 43. So in this cave, this stone pillar wind cave, there is a whole bunch of climbing vines to get to the top of this area to deliver an egg for one of Hummel's side quests, which is what we're doing right now. But because the purpose of this particular section is to show you where I get the Saint's Ring from, I've trimmed out a ton of the climbing. You're going to be doing enough of it yourself, you don't want to watch me do it. There's no real skill to it either, but once you get to the top of here, it finishes off the quest for Hummel, and from the top of here, if you swap to Ricotta, we can fly all the way down to where the ring is, and get out of the room in one quick fell swoop. So if you jump this way, and you swing while in midair, we're going to be going towards this area where that chest is on top of that collection of rocks. You don't have to come this high to get it, you can jump to it from the other side, and if you have the double jump you can do it even easily. But there it is, guys, there's the Saint Ring. That's the reason I came in here. Doing the Hummel thing was just superfluous. The main reason for being here is that ring. I cannot tell you how useful it is, and it saves us crafting it from Uren, or Uren, however you say that guy's name. And this is me equipping it with my Savage Mask. So right now, Savage Mask equipped, Saint Ring equipped, I'm going to be hitting for an incredible measurement of damage, and we're just going to keep stacking strength, we're going to keep eating those meals that give us those boosts in strength, we're going to really start to demolish a lot of the bosses. And you might be thinking already, well, some of the bosses you fought, Chris, you killed them so quickly I didn't even think you could, and it just goes to show how aggressive play and really focusing on your damage can make a big difference in this game. But I believe, yeah, here we go. Do you see that green shield over there, the green emblem? That's where Sylvia is. She's the person who made the fire, if you're wondering. And I think for posterity reasons, I'm going to go to where the fire is and examine it, and then I'm going to go from there. But at this moment in time, I know that I'm going to need a couple people to move an obstacle so that I can get to Franz, because Franz is going to unlock the meal that gives you the biggest damage boost, as I struggle with some collision on geometry just here. But keep moving through the Pangean plains. You can break the wood if you want to, get some Latica resin. There's a couple instances where you need that, but there's not too many. And then of course if you're low on the Tactite ore, you can hopefully get lucky from the drop. But don't worry about that stuff, there's some enemies later on that will drop it more frequently than those deposits ever do. And I don't know if in this game those deposits refresh every 80 seconds, but it seems like they do in Ys VII, and I just assume that they've kind of inherited that mechanic. However, in Ys VII you get tons from them because you continually hit the resource before it disappears, which is kind of interesting. But once again, because I see the campfire, I think for posterity I'll hit it, and then we can get on with finding her. And in a perfect world, guys, what I would have done is I would have edited this part now into the last time I hit the bonfire, so that I could make it look like I got her on the first attempt and give it to you guys so you could repeat it. But I was a higher level now than I was then, and the biggest problem when you make a walkthrough on YouTube is there are a lot of people that are having problems with the game. They come to the walkthrough, and then for whatever reason, they want to drag your videos down because you did something they can't do, and their ego can't take it, so they they generally say negative things or accuse you of cheating in some way or being deceptive. So in order to avoid the inevitable that will happen regardless, I don't really want to have any kind of jumps or any kind of strange transitions between my videos unless there's a good reason for it. Like, when I go to a boss crystal and then the next room is a boss, you'll notice that I've leveled to what level the boss was to give me the best advantage of fighting it. That's one of those things that makes sense. I'm going to tell you guys to do the same thing. When you find out where the boss crystal is, make sure that you're prepared enough to take on the boss. Do it at whatever level you're comfortable with. You could be 10 levels lower, you could be 10 levels higher. It's entirely up to you. It's a choice, right? But when it's mid-level and it's a jump like that, people will try to say that it's in some ways, you know, affecting something, and I just want to try and be as honest as I can, because the point of these videos is to help people, guys. I don't make these to say that I'm better than you. I don't make these to show off. That's not the intention. You know, it's cool when people think it's impressive and they enjoy it, but fundamentally, I want to make videos for the person who really likes this game, for the person who perhaps doesn't know as much as I know about this game, or maybe didn't know something that I've delivered in this commentary or a previous one. You know, I want to help the person that's getting into Ys and having a tough time like I was. I want to help myself, you know. I was having a tough time with this game, and then when I searched for it, the only things I could find were like challenge runs, and that was it. But the fastest girl to movers is Laxia, if you want speed. Dana's pretty quick, as is Rakota. The guys are a little bit slower, but it doesn't really matter, unless you're a speedrunner, I guess. And then we have this new area right now, which I believe in Eternian days is the King's Road, but it's called something different now. And we've got these interesting centipede creatures, which are called Zentipedes. They drop sparkling mucus, which can be used to upgrade into resources to make weapons. I think you can either trade it up or trade it down into a resource that's useful. And then they also drop beast bones and thunderclaws. You will need thunderclaws to upgrade one of Adol's weapons. It might be the weapon that I'm using right now. And then we have the Horndars. Dude, this enemy. Fundamentally, the move it just did then is the exact same as those woolly guys in the Beast Hills, but I can't parry it to save my goddamn life. The amount of times I got hit on this section by those stupid sheep, those rams, is off the charts. There is no enemy in this game that hit me as many times as he did. He must have hit me 7 or 8 times easily. It was really dumb. And I don't know why, because the principle is simple. He telegraphs, and then he charges, and his entire body is a hitbox. All I have to do is time my block. That's it. But I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. So he gets the award for essentially bitching me out and making me into a giant pussy, because I just couldn't do him. He was the toughest dude in the game. And this place is full of them. Luckily, though, now that we have the Saint's Ring and the Savage Mask, we're going to be doing incredible damage with our skills, so these guys don't really take too many hits. But if you find yourself getting hit by this dude and you don't know why, I know exactly how you feel, because I just couldn't get my head around it. He kept hitting me. And then there's the stupid dragon over there, the pterodactyl. So that creature is not particularly difficult, but it has an incredible HP threshold. You're going to be fighting it in a hunt later on, where there's multiples of them. And I dropped a safety save just there where there was a transition, guys, and I ended up fighting him in a little bit, but I got hit, and I was like, is there any reason to get this chest? And then when I opened the chest, it was corn seeds, and you can give those seeds to the kid in the camp who can then make corn for you, but you don't need to. So instead of a 10-minute fight with that stupid enemy where I get clipped in the end, I just ended up loading the save and then getting the chest and then getting out of there. So, which is a valuable strategy, guys. One of the things that you'll make mistakes of doing, because I know I do, is trying to fight everything. Trying to fight everything on Ys, on Inferno, is oftentimes a recipe for just eventual doom. Because there's so much to kill, they're always going to be tankier than you are, and you're going to just get those sloppy hits every so often because you weren't perfect, and then you'll die and you'll forgot to have saved, and boom, it just all compounds into something much worse. But the Zentipedes I like, they're a really, really simple enemy to fight, so I'm going to kill as many of those guys as I can. But I'm probably going to be avoiding the pterodactyls. There's also a crew member coming up here, guys, on one of these parts, where you're going to be able to spot him immediately because there's 2 pterodactyls guarding a vine that you can climb, and there's a cutscene that even gives you the idea that you might want to come to it, and it's right here. Did you see it just then on the right? If you get to the top of that vine, you'll get a castaway crew member, he's the guy who gave you the mission objectives on the Lombardia at the beginning of the game. He's the sailor, and he adds towards the overall number so that you can open up other areas. I don't think I'm going to do it at this moment because I thought it was an item, which is a bit of a mistake, but please feel free to do that, guys. Save, and then just run past those stupid birds, jump up there, get him, and then get on with your life. But be careful, climbing the vines, they will hit you almost every time. They're really good at hitting you when you're climbing. A good idea is to get a flash move off of them and then climb the vines. But now we're back as Dana, back in her own time. We're level 46, kind of close to level 47, and then the game is introducing us to Rastal, who is quite an interesting character as far as a really simple NPC that has a bit of an arc. Because he idolizes his father, he's made an oath to protect Dana, and he finally gets his position as a guard, and then of course there's going to be tragedy that befalls him coming up, and it's going to make him question his oath and question his loyalties, which is always a really, really good narrative tool to see what a character can do. But this screen right here is really limited. You can't do anything on the Towal Highway until you do the mission. So if you come over here, the game tells you off. If you go up the stairs, the game tells you off. And this is where we're going to be getting the extra style for Dana, where we can swap to a heavier style that has a striking bonus. But we have to take on a T-Rex. And it's kind of bullshit because I think this T-Rex is level 53. And anything that is nearly 10 levels higher than you is a pain in the ass to fight. And this first period right now, so this is the Jagan Tyrannus. He drops Ancient Bones, Saurian Scales, and Sunlight Fangs, which are all really, really good items. But it just makes me laugh, this guy. I don't know what it is. I think it's because he reminds me of Rex from Toy Story, but there's something about his animations that are just, they tickle me. But this is an unwinnable phase right now. You have to run away from him until you unlock a style. And what I'm going to try and show you guys is, you can get this boss stuck. Even though technically it's not a boss, it's just an enemy. And if you do it incorrectly, he can still get to you. But if you do it right, he'll get completely stuck between the rock and the tree. And then from that point onwards, you can just kind of space him and play footsies and hit his face. And I'm going to showcase it right now, because this is one of those fights where you make one mistake and you're done, pretty much. This guy hits really, really hard. And unless you've leveled your Dana for this fight, you're going to have a tough time. And because I found a really cheesy way of doing it, I want to show it off. All of the bosses up to this point have been me standing in their face, blocking everything they do and just smashing them. This is going to be a little different. This is the shout out to the people that like to use cheesy strats, because this is a pretty cheesy strat. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to hit him in the face after his attacks, and if he does do any attack that follows up, I'm going to get a flash guard or a flash move off of it and then continue to hit him. But it is easier to just block his stuff and use invincibility, but for the people that might not have the best timing, I like to show off, maybe something a little bit different. And it's the joys of building stun while the boss can't move. But there's the headshot, quick jump away, bait the move, hit the face. 220 damage is pretty good, I guess. It's not the worst. Here's his bite. Once again, guys, if you know his moves, it's easier to just fight him head up. I'm trying to think how many of these guys there is in the game. There's a dude at the beginning, isn't there, near the waterfall zone? There's the dude in the cave. There's this dude. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else. There's a couple of them. I would have preferred it if this was a boss, because I feel like he's got enough moves for him to be an interesting boss. Maybe it technically is a boss, who knows, but when they're bosses, the HP bar looks different, doesn't it? Also, if you don't know, guys, the top ability, the Y ability or the triangle ability, it puts Dana into a powered up version of herself and she gets a damage boost on her moves. The detriment to it, though, is it slowly strips away the SP bar, and you can't do it for too long, and then you have to build it back up. But it is a damage increase and it's fun. There's the first stun. Very misleading though, wasn't it? Looked like he'd be stunned for much longer than he was. That was just a random stun, that wasn't an actual stun. Stuns are inferred by the stars around their head, and by the bar being full, which is going to happen the next time I hit the boss. So this is an actual stun. So if you see the stars circling, you have as long as that meter of stun drains to hit the boss, and then you can just proceed to kill him. In this moment, your hits will do more damage, and I believe you will generate more SP. That's how stun works in Ys VII, and I think it's comparable here. But if you can build stun really quickly, you can kill that boss super quickly. And that thing we just broke just then is the next tier of resource mineral that we're going to need for weapon upgrades. Because after the Tactite ore, there is the, I think is it the Ancient Stone, I think it's called? And it looks just like that, what we just broke. So bear that in mind, it might be useful later on. But now that we've got the ability that the game really wants us to have, we can proceed up here and go past the failed Pokemons, the Montsolias that drop sterile mucus, warm lumber and sparkling mucus. Lots of mucus here, sponsored by Darkside Phil. And then we can go over here and save the deer if you want to. That's a side mission. Once again, guys, I've read online that doing Dana's side missions is key to getting the secret ending, but I don't think I did them all. I did a bunch of them, but I don't think I did all of them, so as long as you're trying your best to hit all the right marks, you'll be fine. Do we get one? We don't. We get Strange Mess. Strange Mess is something that can be crafted upwards, scaled upwards into something stronger. But that's the end of the video, guys, so thank you for watching. Enjoy cheesing the T-Rex, and you take care now.